Have you ever figured out you were about to be fired? I figured out months in advance that my entire department was going to be laid off. I basically followed a bunch of clues. This was way back in 1998 when I started working at Kodak. Kodak is headquartered in Rochester, New York. One of the managers convinced higher UPS that Kodak should open a software development center in Washington, D.C. because of the availability of software engineers in the area. There were many people against it, but she got approval to head a development center in the D.C. metro area. The development center was called Washington Development Center, WDC for short. So she came to D.C., found an office in Maryland, and did a bunch of hiring. I was hired as part of that. Eventually, after 6 years, she found a better position at Kodak, so she left. They got a guy who was completely against WDC to manage WDC. This was clue number 1. Let's call him Mike. The first thing Mike did was give everyone raises. He said the previous manager was underpaying everyone. Everyone was happy. I thought, why no one asked for a raise? Everyone is happy here. A couple of months later, I saw several projects moving away from us. I went to my boss and asked him. He said, the way Kodak works is that business units control the money. Veos proposed projects and development centers bid on them. Since we have higher real estate costs than Rochester, we bid higher. I asked him, were the recent raises a factor? He basically shrugged. Clue number 2, making us uncompetitive by giving raises. Actually, I have to say, it's a touch of genius right there. We used to be competitive before because we didn't pay people as much, which offset our real estate costs. So then the question became, should we move to a new location? My boss found a location in Virginia where the rent was low. What Mike did was put the idea of moving to Virginia up for a vote. Most employees in this location lived in Maryland. They would have to commute an hour to get to Virginia, so most of them voted against it. Clue number 3. Mike knew how the vote would go. His job was to make the right call, even if it was an unpopular one. By having employees make the wrong decision, he absolved himself of all responsibility. Clue number 4. Then there was a reorganization, and Mike got a new boss. Let's call him Jake. The first thing Jake did was to meet everyone in his new organization. They planned for him to visit us. We all prepared presentations for him to show our technical strengths. He slept through 75% of the presentations. I didn't realize this until I started my presentation. I walked up, started talking, and then looked at him and saw his eyes were closed. I stopped short because tears were coming from my eyes. Everyone else was saying, go on, go on. It's okay. I felt like wadding up some paper and throwing it at his bald head, but didn't. We gradually kept losing projects. Eventually, a lot of people weren't doing anything. One day, I went to the break room to get some coffee. There were 2 people in the break room chatting. These 2 people were the ringleaders in getting everyone to vote against the move to Virginia. They asked, hey, how's it going, Jish? I replied, oh, nothing. Just waiting to get laid off. They were looking at me with their eyes wide as I walked back. A few months later, they announced that we are getting laid off. We were given options. A, voluntarily accept to get laid off now and get severance. B, wait till the last day. If you waited, you might be offered a job in Rochester where you could work remotely. If you were not offered a job, you would get a slightly better severance. If you were offered a job and you refused, then you don't get severance. I knew I would be offered a job because I knew the ins and outs of a critical project. So I said, lay me off, please. My boss got offered a job because he was the second person who knew about that project. Oh, there was a guy who had been in Kodak for 29 years and 6 months. When he joined Kodak, offered a pension. If you stayed in Kodak for 30 years, 6 months more and he would have been set for life. He wasn't offered a job and got severance pay for 5 years. He was probably around 55. If he had been offered a job, he could have stuck around for 6 months more and gotten a pension for life. He was one of the people who didn't want to move to Virginia. I was thinking if we had moved to Virginia, we could have staved off the inevitable for at least a year or so. He would have been set for life. I still have respect for Mike for engineering our closure so beautifully. He did it in a way that he doesn't get the blame. Instead, he was able to show how he saved Kodak a lot of money. I was merely a bystander. He was the puppet master. He used people's inclinations against them. Pure evil genius. Respect.